In these perilous times, see from current events how biblical prophecy is coming to pass in front of our eyes. You're watching In the Last Days, the program that looks at Israel and the end times with teaching from a Hebraic perspective. With Martin and Natalie Blackham, thank you to our friends and partners who make this program possible. Now, here's Martin and Natalie.
Hi, welcome to the In the Last Days television program from Jerusalem in Israel, the program that looks at news, current affairs and features interviews. And we have a very special guest in the studio today, Rabbi Lipman, Member of Parliament. Thank you so much for coming in today and making time when now you have a very busy schedule and you're here and there. So thank you so much for coming into the studio in Haradah. Rabbi Lipman is originally from Silver Spring in Maryland in the United States. You're the son of an American federal judge. You went to Johns Hopkins University, and he's now a member of the Knesset, the 19th Knesset. You're a member of the Yesh Atid political party, and you were placed 17th, I believe, on the party's list. And we'll talk a bit about that in a minute. Yesh Atid won 19 seats, making you the first American Israeli Member of Parliament since 1984, when Mayor Kahan was the American Member of Parliament. You were previously, you worked with Rabbi Chaim Amsalem in the Amsalem Party, and you've also been a community activist in Bet Shemesh, and you've worked as an intern on Capitol Hill in Washington, and you're married to Dina with 4 children.
Correct. Correct.
So great to have you with us. I know that you've been on the program before. Many of you will know Rabbi Dov from previous programs, and so thank you so much for coming in. We're so excited because Natalie and myself and many of the viewers in the United Kingdom were watching the Israeli elections, and I'd just like to start off talking about the feeling, because we had you if you remember, you were here and you were talking about the canvassing and the campaigning for Yesh Atid, but you were placed 17th on the list, so people were saying, well, you know, we think that maybe 13 will get in, or there were even predictions of like 10. And then, how was it for you when suddenly Yesh Atid may well do very well on the night?
It actually happened the night before the elections. I got a phone call from a newspaper, and they said that the next morning they're reporting my spot as being realistic. And in that one split second, everything changed. Because until that point, I was working very hard for the party. I believed in its message, but I wasn't really viewing myself as a candidate or someone who was really going to be a member of parliament. And all of a sudden, everything changed. I actually dropped everything and went to the Western Wall in Jerusalem and poured my heart out to God. And opportunity is right in front of me to be able to have the honor of serving in the parliament. And the next day, you felt it in the air as we traveled around to the various polling stations.
The day of the election.
Election day itself. You just felt a certain energy in the air for Yesh Atid, for our party. Somewhere late afternoon, the party contacted me, and they actually said that, according to the polls, we're going to get 17 seats. And because I'm number 17, therefore all the press is going to focus on me, and here are the talking points. And thank God we won 19 seats, and my good friend Ronen Hoffman was able to deal with all the press, and I was able to spend the night really getting my hands around what it means to have been elected to Parliament. And I view it as a blessing. Every day I feel that awe as we go to the building, and I realize what an opportunity I have to do good for the people of Israel, and that hasn't gone away. It's 6 months, and that hasn't worn away at all, so it's been fantastic.
Now, many of the viewers from the United Kingdom might, well, it could be from anywhere in the world, but many of them might not understand, why is it that there's so few American or Anglo-speaking members of Knesset? It's, you know, we said that there hasn't been one since 1984. Right. I was surprised when I was doing the research. I thought, well, you know, there may be 1 or 2, but have none.
Yeah, there's a few reasons for it. The first I would say is that when we move here, and I would put myself in this category as well, many of the people who move from Western countries were very active, where they were very idealistic, and they were activists wherever they came from. But you come here, and there's a language barrier in terms of, is my Hebrew good enough? And there's also a cultural battle. You know, I had seen videos of, or on the news, of members of parliament screaming at each other, and you don't think that you could possibly be part of that. To my dismay, in 6 months, I've learned how to do that as well. But I think that we don't realize the voice that we have. And I've been saying throughout the last few months, I hope that people will learn from my story that we can do it. And I hope that there'll be many more English-speaking members of the Knesset. That's one. The other issue is we don't really have an English-speaking party. Politically, English-speaking immigrants tend to be spread all across the political map, and therefore anyone who's forming a party or starting a party doesn't see naming a candidate who's English-speaking as a priority because there's no critical mass in any party. I'm very fortunate that Yair Lapid, who's the head of our party, now the finance minister, saw that there was a place to put a English speaker on the list. I certainly come from an ultra-Orthodox background, and that played a role as well. And now I have the opportunity to represent over 170,000 English-speaking voters who voted in general for all parties in the last election, but I very much view myself as being their representative in the Knesset.
And when you went to the parliament when Dov went, it was in the news that you would have to give up your American citizenship, because it's one thing to make Aliyah, and it's something we've covered on in the Last Days television program, the return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel. It's one thing to come here, to give up your home, in your case in the United States, to move all your family over here, but it's another, then you have to go one step further and to give up your American citizenship. So how was that?
It's Israeli law that requires, so a few days before the inauguration, I had to go to the embassy. They actually opened it for me at a special time, so there weren't other people around and no press and the like. I didn't realize how difficult it would be. The first step was I had to sign a paper, and when you sign something, you can detach yourself a little bit from what you're doing. So I signed my name, and I thought I was done. They called me into this back room, and there's a glass, and there's a clerk behind the glass, and she says to me, "Please raise your right hand." And I said, "I have to say this?" She said, "Yeah." So repeat after me. And I actually started crying. I actually started tearing up, and I couldn't say the words. I realized, my father's side of the family found safe haven from pogroms in Russia in the late 19th century in the United States. My mother's side of the family after the Holocaust. And as an Orthodox Jew, I had every opportunity available to me. I never experienced any anti-Semitism, just the opposite. People were almost proud to associate with us as religious observant Jews. And I felt like I was slapping my country in the face. As I was saying the words, I just felt like I'm an ingrate. I'm not. And I said it. We got through it. The poor clerk, she cried more than I did during the process. I did pen a letter to the president. I felt like I had to say something, and I asked the ambassador to please make sure that the president received it, thanking America for all that it did for us. I must say that a few hours later, and that when I internalized the fact that after 2,000 years of traveling around from country to country, in most cases experiencing terrible persecution, to know that I'm Israeli, I'm 100%, there was something very meaningful and even spiritual about that.
And because that's something that's probably not talked about, is coming to live in Israel, but taking it, like you take it from one step to another, and now you're completely Israeli and becoming part of the land here.
Right. The one good news is that some of my friends made fun of me, and they said, "Oh, now you have to wait in the long line when you go into America as an Israeli." They didn't realize that I have a diplomatic passport, and I actually get a faster line than American citizens. So at least if I had to give up my citizenship, but the truth is, it was very hard to do. But like you said, it's sort of a coming full circle and saying that now I'm completely Israeli.
So the other thing, the interesting thing is that you came from Bet Shemesh as a community activist and then you were with Rabbi Shalem, and we spoke about that, and then with Yesh Atid, and then there was the exciting day of the election when you won and everything. How were the people in Bet Shemesh? Because you've been involved there with
Sure.
the community.
I didn't realize before the election, but I'm the first member of Knesset in the history of the city.
Wow.
So the people in the city, whether they voted for Yesh Atid or not, they feel a certain pride that one of their own, even though I'm only here 9 years, and I feel it when I walk in the streets in Beit Shemesh. People are very proud, and here's our member of Knesset, and that also made me feel a tremendous sense of responsibility for the city. In Israel, unlike in the UK or other places, there's no regional representation in the Knesset. It's a very complicated system. So generally, you don't have your own member of parliament to turn to if you have various issues. I felt that even though Yesh Atid, our party, did not have a massive turnout in terms of support in Beit Shemesh, I felt like I'm the representative of the city, and therefore there are many issues regarding the planning of the city and the future of the city where I'm working very hard within the Knesset to try to make sure that I can serve as their representative. And we've also held constituent hours in Beit Shemesh. So people who have private issues for the most part, and we do our best as members of parliament to help them, but that was very important for me to represent the city and really elevate the city to a higher level in the country.
Now, your first day in the Israeli parliament, I guess, or maybe not your first day, but when you arrived there, I remember seeing a funny film when Tony Blair had to share an office with Gordon Brown on his first day as an MP. He didn't actually have his own place, his own office. How was that? I mean, did they assign you an office, or did you have to? How does that work?
Well, even a step before that, we actually had to go to Knesset school. I mean, and Yesh Atid, all 19 of us were new to being members of parliament, and there were 48 in general new members of parliament out of 120 seats. That's a huge percentage. So the Knesset also provided us with some classes, so we learned what it means to be a member of parliament. We were all given temporary offices. Originally, they told us don't really unpack, don't get comfortable. So we moved in there first, and then a few weeks in, though, I actually scouted out a little bit, where I wanted to be, and we were able to get that office. So the offices are very much the same, but it's very important that you get yourself settled there because that's where you spend a huge bulk of your time is in the plenum or in your office or in committee, and you make it very much your home and unpack all the boxes, and now we're starting to put things on the walls and really get ourselves comfortable.
And you also have now you have staff as well. So are the staff in the same area or?
So so in your office, when you first walk in, there's a staff area, and that's where they work, and then I have my private office as well. But you spend a huge amount of time with your staff and planning and working and traveling, and I'm very blessed to have two people who were with me during the campaign, actually. So we already developed a certain camaraderie and trust, and fantastic people who I can really they're getting the job done. They're really doing a fantastic job, and that's a critical piece because as a member of parliament, there's only so much you can do. There's only so many hours in a day, and they do a fantastic job. You have two staff members, and they do the job of 10. That's when I thought about it. They're doing 10 people's jobs, and they're really fantastic.
Now, one of the things that is a complaint in the United Kingdom, and I don't know about the United States with the government, but certainly in the UK, and many of our viewers will be aware of this, is the long hours that members of parliament have to serve. People don't realise this, but there's in the UK they often work during the night to have to get bills and statutes through to be passed. Is that the same in Israel? Is there long hours?
It is the same. The plenum sessions on Monday and Tuesday start at 4 o'clock. Monday is the real long one, and we've been there till 3, 4, even 5 in the morning. I actually experienced something this session which I've never done in my life. Even with births of children, I never experienced this. We were there all night till 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I had to go to an event straight from there, and then from there to meetings, and I actually went 48 hours without sleeping.
Wow.
A lot of adrenaline, and but I've never experienced that before. But you start realizing, leaders, sometimes when you're outside the system, you can be very cynical and negative about, but people are very dedicated. Even if you disagree politically or ideologically, people really give very hard. It's a hard schedule. You're away from family a lot, and certainly that was a big adjustment for me as someone who is generally always home for dinner time and the like. And we make the adjustments that are necessary, but people are very dedicated, and yes, very, very long hours.
And you're on a number of committees. I was reading from the Knesset. It lists you as being a member of the Immigration, Absorption and Diaspora Affairs. I believe that's a committee. The Special Committee for the Equal Sharing of the Burden Bill, and I think maybe I'll talk a bit about that in a minute. The Lobby for the Promotion of Discussion between the Secular and the Haredi. Lobby for the Job Integration into the Haredi community. And then it just lists, I was thinking, well, gosh, first of all, Dov's a member of Knesset, and then you're on all these committees.
Yeah, it's really, when we're in session, the schedule, I can honestly tell you, you walk into the building and you just go. You just go from one thing to the other, almost with limited time to even absorb everything that happened. That's one of the challenges which I'm learning how to deal with, because you want to learn the material, you want to digest the material afterwards and formulate an action plan. But we're now out of session, and it's very interesting. A lot of people, we're out of session now for almost 2 months, and we're in recess. And again, when you're outside the system, people mock it and make fun of it. Oh, these guys are just on vacation. I'm just as busy in recess than I am in session. A little more time to breathe. That's the way you don't have the committee hearings as often, only if it's a special hearing. And you have some time to contemplate, to learn more, to read more, and also to plan for the next session. And that's critical to have. So thank God for the recess, and get yourself geared up again for the next session.
And in the recess, do you have to go to the Knesset as well, or is it?
You don't have to. I'm in a special committee for a specific law that is going to be meeting during the recess, so I do go for that. The building actually is now closed for 2 weeks for repairs and cleaning and the like, so we can't even go. But I do work outside, either in my home office or we find other places to work. Here and there could be a special session that's called. If enough MKs sign a petition, there could be a special session called. We all have to go, and we're going to do that, I think, in a few weeks. We have one about a specific issue. You do have the opportunity to travel a little bit, not really vacation travel. I'm going tomorrow morning to Hungary for parliamentary work. I'm going to Washington in a month for parliamentary work. So it's not really vacation, but you do have more of an opportunity to get out a little bit and do some outside Knesset work.
Now, if we could talk a little bit about the different things you're doing. I was looking when I was doing the research that Dov, you've been involved with Nefesh Ben Nefesh, because that's the organization that originally you came with.
Absolutely.
From the United States to Israel, making Aliyah, the return, the historic return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, fulfilling the Bible, and an amazing event in our day, really a fantastic thing. And you had the privilege to be on the platform, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, because very often we were there when the Prime Minister was there welcoming the Olim. These are the Jewish people who've come from the different countries.
So 9 years ago, my wife and I boarded a El Al plane with our 4 children, young children at the time, and every single person on the plane was moving to Israel, and there was an energy which is, you can't describe it until you have to experience it. And the pilot actually went through the regular routine that pilots go through. We'll be flying at 30,000 feet, 9.5 hours. And then at the end he said, "Sit back, relax, enjoy the flight. I'm here to take you home." It's a very powerful moment, and it really was coming home. And then a few weeks ago I was invited by Nefesh Ben Nefesh to greet a similar flight, and I was standing there waiting. I said, my God, how can it be that 9 years ago I was coming off that plane, and here I am as a member of parliament, and I hope that I can serve as inspiration to the people who are coming, that they can make it, because there's so many fears and challenges. When I got up to the platform, I actually cried more. I was more emotional greeting the flight than I was in my own flight. I think in my own flight, you're caught up taking care of your children and logistics and not really thinking about the broader picture. And here I was standing there really looking at a room full of hundreds of people who just moved, and it was very emotional. And I felt like there were important messages to share with them. On the one hand, to be prepared for all the challenges. Nothing good in life comes without overcoming challenges and obstacles. And the Talmud actually says that one of the 3 things that we acquire with difficulty and suffering is the land of Israel. So they will have the opportunity to fulfill that, guaranteed. But I also wanted them to take a moment and appreciate what was happening. Because like I said, when I flew, I don't think I did that as much. I think that we were so busy. I said, take a moment. I said, pinch yourselves. I said, look what's happened. After 2,000 years, you've come home. And this is a dream which all of our ancestors dreamed of. Couldn't imagine that it could happen. And here you came. And I said, take it all in and thank God every single day. You're going to go to work, you're going to be raising your children, there's going to be difficulties. Take a moment every day and thank God for the fact that we are able to experience this. And it was very important for me to convey that message.
And what people might not know is not just people are making Aliyah, but there's families reuniting. In other words, there's family members who've made Aliyah in the past, who've come to the airport to greet family, and that's exciting as well, isn't it?
It was exciting and emotional. Wow, to see the emotions of sisters and brothers and parents with their children. And for me, I had a first cousin who was on that flight, and he came out of the bus. And I don't know, spontaneously, I actually started dancing with him. That's just, there was music playing, and I just, to see family members, I'm even getting emotional now thinking about it. It's very powerful to be part of that, and to realize that after 2,000 years, we're coming home, and that's the fulfillment of prophecies. Literally, I mean, we literally, in synagogue on Saturday morning on the Shabbat, we read the prophecies about the land reflourishing and blooming once again, and God will remember the captivity of Zion and bring us back, and here we are. That's us.
And you have the what you say, I think, is it Yom Kippur, or is it more regularly than that when you say next year in Jerusalem?
There are two primary times when we say it. One is at the end of the Passover Seder. Every single year, Jews around the world say next year in Jerusalem, and we say it also at the end of the Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement service. And you say next year in Jerusalem. And I think that for thousands of years, people said it, but
now they're doing it.
They're doing it. Now it's possible. Now you get on a flight and they'll serve you 2 meals and show you a few movies, and you can come in safety and security, and it's nothing short of a miracle. And that's really the message that I shared. King David says the return, a song of ascents. He says when we return to Zion, he says in Hebrew, "Hayinu kecholmim," we're like dreamers. It's a dream. This is a dream. I mentioned to people in various speeches that I give that 70 years ago, my grandmother, may she live and be well, was languishing in Auschwitz. And a few months ago, she came and visited me in my Knesset office in Jerusalem. And she sat there and she said, "This doesn't make any sense. This is a fog. She said, this is a dream. A Jewish state, a Jewish parliament, my grandson, doesn't make any sense." And it's very important to always take a step back and remember that we're living a dream.
And she was a survivor from the Holocaust.
Yeah. She survived Auschwitz. Her parents and most of her siblings were killed. And one night they arrived in Auschwitz and they were all annihilated. And she was young, so she was by Mengele. Joseph Mengele met her, and she actually was chosen to the line of death. And she jumped to the other line, and when she jumped to the other line, their eyes met for a moment, and she said that she remembers those eyes. At that moment, he could decide. He's the angel of death. He could decide, and he let her stay on the side of living because she was young, and I guess they felt that she could work. She worked very hard, got hurt working, survived, met my grandfather, and rebuilt a family, and now she has great grandchildren living in Israel. It's
and she came to the Knesset to see you.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a very powerful moment.
Now, you were mentioning that it's not always, that it's a challenge living in Israel because that's how it's going to be. And one of the challenges you've had is the Haredi situation, which is not new to you because you've really had that since you arrived here. With the community in Bet Shemesh. So maybe as we're coming to the end of the program, you could just give us a quick news update as to the situation, because even you're in the newspaper today, by the way, in the Jerusalem Post, because of what's happening in Bet Shemesh.
Yeah, the ultra-Orthodox community in Israel, when Israel was first founded, took a very isolationist approach. They felt that it was going to damage religion. And by the way, a lot of their fears were legitimate. There was a very secular nature to Israel. But the way I say it, we're 65 years into this, and it's time to start working together. And a person, thank God, today in Israel can be fervently Orthodox, committed completely religiously, but also serve in the army, do national service, become educated, and join the workforce. And as the ultra-Orthodox community grows, the need for this to happen is more and more, and it's happening. The good news is that it's happening. That's part of what we're doing in the Knesset as well. Like anything, you're always going to have extremists who kind of fight against it, and they've been upset about various things in Beit Shemesh, and there's been some violence. I always said it's a police issue, and the police have come down very hard on them, and that's the way we have to deal with it. It's not a religious, it's not a theological debate. It's people who are extremists and criminals. The one thing I will say, we live in the Middle East, and extremists around the Middle East, when they have religious disputes, they shoot each other, and you have civil wars where people are dying. To our credit, in Israel, we're having this battle with extremists, but you know what? No one's shooting each other. They're saying very nice things. Maybe some rocks will be thrown, which is not a good thing. But I'm very proud of the way that we've dealt with the overall situation, and I'm very hopeful and optimistic about our moving forward together as a people.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Dov, and we hope to have you in again next week, depending on time. It's been great to be with you. Don't forget you can visit the website www.inthelastdays.com and email us at info@inthelastdays.com. And remember, we're living in the last days.
You've been watching In the Last Days, a TV program with Martin and Natalie Blackham, the program that looks at Israel and the end times with teaching from a Hebraic perspective. If you would like to financially support the program or find out about conferences, meetings or ministry products, then please contact us with the details on your screen. Visit our easy-to-use website at www.inthelastdays.com and register for our free e-newsletter. Get the latest news from Israel, product information, online video teaching, or watch today's TV program at a time that's convenient to you. Thank you again, friends and partners, for making this program possible.
See you same time, same station for the next program from In the Last Days.